G Money. All right. Oh, looks like I'm live now.
Yeah.
And if I go back to this, I should be able to go right into this, right?
What time is supposed to go live? 5 o'clock?
Yeah, it should be going right now.
Oh, 5:04.
Oh, no, he's fired. See you guys.
Bye.
All right, see ya.
Hang out for a while?
Okay. Where are the comments?
There should be a link in that says like comments.
I see the bottom tab that says chat. Okay.
Yeah, it's a chat.
Oh, I see it.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Is the live still going on? Yes.
Yes, the live is still going on. Just starting the machine up right now, and we are about to get started.
Okay, cool. Yeah, shoot me a text.
You're good.
Same place, right? Yep, same place.
And waiting. Can you see it on there?
Okay. Yep.
Perfect. Just going to give it a few minutes to let people kind of pile in, and we're going to get started. See you good?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye. That's cool.
I'm just going to get it started. Hopefully people can keep playing this for a little while and see the live entirely even after it. So how's it going, everybody? My name is George Michaels. I'm with Optimize Physical Therapy and Performance. And I'm here with Speediance and the Speediance Gym Monster. And I want to go over some of the cool things that this machine can do and the way that we use it both here in a physical therapy practice, a performance practice, and in rehab, and just ways that I think it can be really useful that maybe you don't typically see inside of just the workouts and stuff, how it's used kind of in like a physical therapy sense as well, right? As you guys are, making comments and asking questions and stuff, I'll try to answer them as I go and stuff. So I want to give you guys a quick tour of my gym and everything, and then I'm going to get into the actual Speediance Gym Monster machine. So if you could grab this and just follow me around. So right here, as you pan this way, we have like our open turf area right here. We have all of our cardio equipment. You can see here, we work with a ton of professional athletes from lots of different NFL teams. We definitely work with a more active population, including pro athletes all the way down to just active adults who want to just keep their body healthy and strong, whether it be an injury or whether they just have like performance goals and stuff. So I'm gonna have you guys follow me around this way right here. We have like a open turf area right here, and we've got a few squat racks, power racks, Kaiser machine. So let me show you kind of the golf room that we have, and then we'll pan back down towards the gym monster. So we have the golf simulator right here. So we have like a lot of golfers that have like, problems, and we can kind of use this room to look at their shot and look at what they're doing. So, and then I'll have you pan back around this way. We have 6 doctors on staff, and so we're a fully functioning physical therapy clinic, and we definitely are growing. So we decided to go with the Speediance Gym Monster because using cables can be really, really useful, and some of the features that are in this that I'm gonna go over can be really useful, and I think that you guys can get a ton out of this. So just remember that I have that code, that George code that you see at the bottom of the screen right there, where you can get an additional $100 off of the sale that's already going on with the Speediance Gym Monster or the Speediance Gym Pal that they have. And you'll also get I think it's the hooks and the ski handles, which are pretty cool. You definitely need those if you want to do any kind of ski stuff, or if you're using like the bar that comes with it, you can hook it on there and it's really useful. So definitely take advantage of that code that you see at the bottom right here. But let's get into it. So the Speediance Gym Monster has some really cool features that I like, that I think kind of sets them apart, is that when I'm using the cable machine right here and I just click it on, and let's say I'm pulling right here, there's the same varied weight right here, and the force is pulling me towards the cable right here. If I had a dumbbell in my hand, if this was the dumbbell, gravity goes up and down right here. So in this position, I wouldn't even be able to replicate this unless I turned myself down like onto a bench and did like a row like this. And so that's some of the cool things, that I'm going to be able to stand and actually like row right here, and I can change the angle and the force anyway. And that's why I really like using cables as opposed to just dumbbells all the time. If you put a gun to my head and said choose between free weights or varied cables that can be from any angle and at any force, I'm going to choose cables every time. They're superior in a lot of ways. Math Magical asked or said, I ordered recently from Home Pro Gym. I missed this promo, but I'm interested in seeing how the machine is used. Okay, got you. I'm definitely going to go over all the things that you can do with this machine. And definitely you'll have a lot more clarity after I go over a lot of it, right? So like I was saying, that cable is, it's running on like a magnetic railing inside of here. So you'll get like really smooth resistance the entire time, both on the way here and on the way back when you're actually going to that negative. What's really cool about this machine is that there's something called chain mode. And what chain mode is, what we call in physical therapy concentric, where as I pull on the weight right here, it's heavier on the way towards me right here, and it gets lighter on the way back. And so some of the cool things is that if I really want to get strong at the actual force that I'm pulling right here, it increases the weight. Right here I have it set to 5 extra pounds on this way, and then it's 5 extra less, but I can change that and vary that. And so if I also want it to do the opposite, there's something called eccentric mode. And what eccentric is on the way, it'll be whatever weight I set it, but on the way back, it'll get heavier. And so I can really work on that lengthening right here, and I can really increase a lot of my strength doing that. The research shows that eccentric things, like what this machine does, actually increase hypertrophy and strength in the long run, way more superior than doing it where you're just going fast through that eccentric phase or that lengthening negative phase right there. And so that's one of my favorite features about the Speediance Gym Monster, and why it was something that I chose is, this was one of the bigger selling points for me when I was getting the machine, is that if I put 30 pounds on here, right, and I have an athlete or even me myself or anything on here and I make them row back, I can make their cadence slow down and it'll be way heavier on the way back, and I can get a lot of that hypertrophy I want out of this. I can get a lot of strength out of this. I can get a whole lot of benefits from this, and the research supports that as well. And it's also very useful for rehab, where I want positioning or I want somebody to be able to control that muscle a little bit more. So it's some pretty cool stuff that I can do with that. There's another one called the fixed speed. So you change it onto what's called fixed speed. Now, if I put it onto slow, right here, there's a slow and a fast version on this fixed speed. No matter how fast I want to pull on this, it'll only go really slow right here. And I can change the weight, but the cadence of the cable will stay at whatever I set it to. And so if you are somebody that has trouble with, like, you run through your reps too fast right here and you want to slow that cadence down, I have a ton of clients and professional athletes and stuff that have trouble concentrating on slowing that rep down. this will force you to slow that rep down right here, and you can get a ton of muscle growth and strength from that, just on that alone. And so these are all really cool features that I just love about the Speediance Gym Monster. Any other questions that you see on there?
Nope.
Okay, cool. So the other things that I like to use it for is the fact that you can actually have the cable not only go up and down right here. So the cable can move up and down right here, all the way down and all the way up right here. So I can swivel it any which direction right here. I can cross them, and I have quite a bit of pullback and length right here. That's a pretty high amount. If I put it lower to the ground, it goes even farther than this right here. This is where you can see the cable right here. It goes all the way up right here. That's a pretty long cable, so I can do a lot of cool stuff with that. And then as I actually take this off right here, I can put this down onto the bottom right here. And if I do the other cable as well, it's very easy to do. I have clients that are not very athletic, or maybe they're even injured, and they can do this. It's really simple to get to this position right here. And then now it's the force is coming from the ground right here, and it's really easy to set up. They're metal components mostly. It's not like some cheap plastic or anything like I've seen on other companies that have similar machines. So it's pretty high quality. But as I do, like, you know, bicep curls, or I want to do like a press of some sort or something. And remember, I can change the speed, I can change the weight, all sorts of stuff like that. Tons of great ways to utilize it coming from the ground. They are actually unique in the fact that it comes from the ground and from in front of you. Some companies are only the ground, some are only in front of you.
Celeste has a question. She says, can you set the speed of the cadence in the fixed speed?
Yes, you can set it to fast or slow. So in the fixed speed, I can the little thing that usually is weight, you can actually like put it to fast or slow right here. I don't know if you have a machine, but if you don't, once you get to the fixed speed mode, you can change it to go to really fast. So that was a good question. If I put it to fast right here, so now it's on fast, I can rip on this really fast right there. And the machine knows and is anticipating me to rip that really fast right there. So the cable won't unwind really fast and lose the tracking on the cable right there. I've seen what it looks like on the inside of these machines. It's part of my job to know how these machines work. And the cable system in here is really manageable. It's really smart.
Okay. Kyle has a question.
All right, hit me, Kyle.
Is there more than one ground setting position?
Oh, it's not really that there isn't like more than one ground setting position. It's that the cable itself can be changed right here. So I can change that angle anyway. Even if I'm back here, the force application is still going to the ground. So there's not really a reason to slide the cable right here. It makes sense up here, but down here, the force vector is still going to be down. Vector meaning the direction it's going. So I'm going to show you guys the difference between a squat and a hinge, and also how I differentiate those on the machine, and some kind of hacks that I use with the machine. So just bear with me as I set up the bar right here. Bar is pretty easy to set up too. It's as easy as any other attachment in here, in my opinion. Cool. Now, just like that, I have the barbell attachment on here. But when you're on the machine, there's a button on here. When it's on just the single cables, you want it to be on dumbbell version. When you get onto the barbell, you want to switch it to barbell. What that does is it evens the cables out, so that when you have the barbell, it's not like going one way or another right here or anything. You want to keep it nice and even. The machine detects when you're starting to get off balance and makes it feel like more like a barbell. I've tried every machine on the market, and I can definitely tell you that this is one of the smoother barbells on the market right here. It's very smooth. It doesn't ever tip one way or feel unbalanced. And like until you actually get underneath like a magnetic force, like on a squat or deadlift or anything like that, it really grabs. Like when I put this thing up to the full 220 or whatever that it has, and it pulls like a lot. Like it feels like it's more than 220, and I'm a pretty strong guy.
Not to brag.
Yeah, not to brag, but I mean, it feels, I can lift a lot more than 220 and it feels much heavier. So I'm gonna show you guys kind of how I use this in like a more squat version and a more hinge version, right? So when I'm using the barbell attachment right here, I like to do more front-loaded things. So I usually, for my clients and for my patients, I like to get like the foam pad that comes with this. I don't have it right now. I'm not going to use it at the moment, but I like to have the foam pad on here just for comfort reasons. And I like to do more front-loaded squats. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against doing a back squat like this where the bar is on your back and you're going down into a squat. I love those squats, been doing them my whole life that I've been training. But I personally like to use something called a zercher, where you put it into your arms like this and then you cross your arms like this. Now that the load is more in front of me, my squat is going to be a little more vertical, where my torso, my rib cage, and my pelvis are going to displace vertically, meaning I'm moving my torso up and down in a motion rather than in a back squat, where I see a lot of people who have a tough time learning squats. They tend to hinge forward right here, and squats are not hinges, they're squats. You're supposed to squat up and down right here, like the cable is like a line right here where I should be moving up and down, not forward and backwards right here. So I tend to put a lot of my clients who are trying to get a really clean, easy squat where their body really gets in a good position, where I put them in a position more like this, as long as they don't have like an elbow issue or something like that. And in here, now I can get into a really nice, clean squat and not really have to worry about tipping forward or my form or anything like that. And it's really easy to load. So that's one way that I use this, and I've loaded this all the way to the max 220, and it grabs. So I'm going to show you guys more on the deadlift side what I define for hinges and like deadlift variations, right? I use these a ton with my athletes and my patients, because if they have some kind of hip issue or they have something that maybe they need to get a change inside of their pelvis a little bit, this is a great way to get some motion to the pelvis. And so I really love using the Speediance Gym Monster for deadlifts, because I can vary the weight a little bit right there, where I can, like I showed you guys in the fixed speed, I can make it go slow or fast. I can make it eccentric, where on the way up it's really easy, and then on the way down it's really hard, or on the concentric I can make it hard on the way up and then easy on the way down. So I think those are some really cool features that I could never get out of free weights right there. And that's why cables on like something like this can be really superior a lot of times. So in like a deadlift motion, again, you can always get the hooks or whatever and kind of start at like whatever angle that you like. I have the ring, and so I kick the ring on with the Bluetooth ring, and then now, you know, I'm set. So in the deadlift, what we want to look for is the pelvis, like your hips, to move backwards and forwards, not down and up as much. There's going to be some translation up and down, but we want most of the motion going backwards and forwards right here. So it'll look more like this. So my shins kind of stay a little bit forward, and then I just hinge those hips back, and then I'm driving the hips forward right here, maintaining like a nice neutral spike. So back and forth, just like that. Easy way to get some great hinges. All right, hit me.
Kyle said, I found my first gym monster when maxed out at 220 pounds felt less compared to free weight. For example, I could do more deadlift reps at 220 pounds with this machine versus free weight.
Well, I mean, the reason for that might be like more like a technique and mechanics thing in your body. It's not that the weight on here has been verified to actually be what it is right there. The thing is that with weights, momentum sometimes is like harder on like in a physics standpoint, where your lever of your body makes the weight a little bit longer and heavier right there. And as you pull up right there, it might get easier as you stack your joints right there. And so sometimes people with like weights sometimes feel it harder at like the bottom, but easier at the top, and vice versa with cables, where it might be harder at the top or the entire way and stuff. You might want to play around with the machine a little bit more, like the eccentric mode and stuff like that.
He also said, Kyle,
Uh,
you can also do belt squats with this
Yep.
machine.
Yes, you
Very
can. I have it.
effective and spine friendly. No spinal compression compared to back squat.
Yeah, I would agree 1,000,000%. Kind of like when I was giving you guys the tour earlier, if you were here, we have a belt squat machine here in our clinic, and we use that same strategy because now the spine isn't getting loaded and you're not getting any of that compression to the lumbar spine or anything that a lot of people get, especially with back squats where they tend to already compress their back right here. That's why I usually give people zerchers where they can stay in a barbell squat pattern. But what happens is that you'll see the back decompresses because you get in a position like this. It's not that you're rounding right here. You're just getting a neutral pelvis and a ribs in a nice stacked position. Now that you're here, now you can go down into a squat. You'll notice that people have a lot better positioning like a zercher-like position. But I agree with you 1,000,000%. And we have a squat belt that works with this machine as well. I didn't buy the one from Speediance because I already had one here that works just fine. But I think that is something that they're already selling or they sold out already. And I would totally suggest to anybody who has a hard time with barbells, with like back squats, front squats, whatever type of squats or deadlifts, to actually use the belt. It's much more mechanically friendly and makes squats like so much easier. So it's a great tool. Yeah. They ask anything else?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So that's how I would define a squat and a hinge. Remember, squats are up and down, and hinges are more about the pelvis going backwards and forwards right here. And that's how I would define those things when it comes to when I'm using this machine. And I think a lot of people don't ever really get a definition of what one or the other is and what the benefits are. When it comes to the squat, the whole body is pretty loaded up right here, and you're gonna get the pelvis to actually go through like a full range of motion right here. Hinges, they only stay from about right here to where you're standing up straight. It's not a full range of motion, but you get a ton of extension power out of that. And I think that can be really powerful if you use the right way. I just wanted to define those for you guys. And that's kind of how we help our clients define it as well, so that they understand when and where to use those things and how this machine can actually help you achieve those goals. It can do either one of those, and there's so many variations right here that you can do with this machine. It's great. We use it all the time. It stays right here a majority of the time. Every once in a while, I'll pack this bad boy up and take it to like a client who can't come to our clinic, but it's very rarely that I have to take it anywhere. It's usually here.
Kyle said, my second machine was better calibrated. I think what it is this digital weight. So it's not the same as an analog free weights. Not good or bad, just different.
Yeah, and I would agree. You know, it's different because the force from the cables doesn't change. It doesn't vary. In weights, depending on where the gravity is at and what kind of positioning your body is in, and especially like a lever, like imagine if I have this like cable right here and I put it farther away from my body and it's pulling on me, it's gonna feel heavier out here than it is if I'm a little more closer to my body and have all my joints stacked up and I'm holding it strong right here. And the reason is because my arm is getting bent down. It's a lever right there. So sometimes when it comes to weights, that kind of like physics lever right there can kind of make things feel heavier. And that's why cables, they never let go. They never change and vary right there. Maybe something was going on and not calibrated well in your cables, or something was going on. But typically cables tend to never really change in variation in the research. When we actually see it, the weight kind of shifts around just because of the way gravity and physics work. But neither one is good or bad. It's just about when and where you would use it. I prefer cables. Like I said, if I have a gun to my head and somebody's making me choose between a really solid cable setup like this or dumbbells, I'm probably going to choose something like this because I can get full range, force applied anywhere I want. It's great.
Kyle asks, what would be the pros/cons of this machine versus a cable machine, such as a functional trainer?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that the functional trainers, it's funny enough, they're still on an actual like metal plate that is a weight. It's like a dumbbell that has like a cable attached to it, right? This has it's almost like a coil, and it's like a magnetic resistance that happens in there. And so the force is always the same on those. With those cable machines, go to a functional cable machine at any gym and rip on it really fast, like I tried to do with the Speediance Gym Monster just a minute ago. You can't rip on it really fast because the weight will jump up and you won't feel any resistance there. This thing, the resistance never changes because it's on that coil, that spin right there. And so that's why I think that there's a big difference between the mechanism that's actually inside of this part of the box right here where the cables go into. The ones that have stacks and weights and you change the pin like a functional trainer, like you're saying, they're still working on the laws of physics against like a gravity and weight of whatever the plate is right there. This is only working on what the magnetic force on that cable is getting pulled on right there. And so I would say that's the biggest difference right there. And I think that's a really cool feature about a machine like this.
Are there more pros and cons, maybe?
I mean, like if I was to like play devil's advocate on like a Speediance Gym Monster machine like this, it would be the only one I would say is if you maybe want to go above 220 and that's all they're at. I'm sure that they probably could do it, but I'm not sure if it would even be a good idea for the general population just yet. I'm not even sure other machines are really that much higher. I've tried a majority of them. I don't remember how much they all go up to. I think the highest I've ever seen on another similar machine like this was like 300 something. But again, I don't think that people really need that much more weight. They just need to learn better mechanics and how to load it. Like muscles grow and get stronger, not based on how much weight you lifted, but more about like the volume scheme and things like that.
Another Kyle asked, what month/quarterly maintenance is involved on this?
I mean, I've only had it for like 4 months total, and I haven't had any maintenance on this. But the manual and stuff like that, you can clean out some of the dust that's inside of here, and you want to just make sure that when you open this up, there's like a little coil inside of there where like the cable goes onto. What you need to do is you don't actually open it up or anything like that. But what's suggested is you actually take the cable and you pull it all the way back right here. Like some people get like clicks every once in a while, and then you load it up and then you bring it all the way back. And that's just to like make sure that there's no like any problems with this cable and coiling on the little mechanism that it's on inside of there. Other than that, there's no real major maintenance that I'm aware of that you need to do over a long period of time. This is a if you look at the inside, it's not a very complicated mechanism on the inside. It's really solidly built, and I've tried a majority of the ones on the market. I don't want to name drop any of the other ones that I'm talking about or anything, but chances are I probably tried them. Probably have a few inside of my clinic right now, but this isn't about those machines. This is about the Speediance Gym Monster, and it's really well built on the inside.
The highest height, asked by Earl. The highest height for the pulley is not enough for overhead vertical pull down.
I've solved this.
I'm 6'4". Is there a safe way to do it with the Gym Monster?
Yeah.
I incline my torso to stimulate the vertical pull down, but is it safe?
Yeah, no, it's safe. But let me show you a hack that I do with my tall clients that have a little bit of trouble. Like if you guys know, for instance, any football players or anything, I work with a guy named Darren Waller, who's a very tall guy, and I could easily get him on this machine and get him to pull down right here without any problem. Now, it depends on what your definition of like a pull down is, like what exactly it is, what exercise you're actually wanting right here. But I'm going to show you what I do, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about the anatomy of the lats and the muscles that you're trying to target anyways, and why it doesn't really matter to get fully way overhead like this all the time. So some of the things that people kind of talk about is maybe right here, obviously, even for me, it's not really above my arm. I'm not really getting a pull down from this. I can go a lot higher. Well, maybe they have their bench right here and they'll sit down somewhere like this, and then they're trying to like pull down like this. I'm assuming this is what you're talking about, something like this, or maybe both arms right here where they're pulling like this, right? Well, even if I'm sitting in a chair, I'm still not very high, and for somebody tall like you, you're probably still way above this thing, right? So what I tend to have people do is I actually get them to get down onto one knee, get right here, and then now I just need to lean my torso a little bit. Now look at the angle that I'm at. The cable
goes straight down in a line right here, and then I pull through right here. Because I'm on the opposite arm of the opposite leg, the lat wraps, it attaches to the hip right here, and it wraps around the rib cage, and it attaches up into your arm. So as I reach right here, the lat is gonna wrap around my rib cage, attach into my arm, and it's gonna pull my arm down right here. Because I've changed my torso angle right here, and I'm right here, now it's just no different as if I'm going like this and I'm pulling down. So if I put this bad boy up to 110 for just one arm right here, I think that for most people, that's plenty of weight. And as long as I can get that nice slow contraction right here and slow reach right here, I'm gonna get a ton of not only lat, but just like even the rotator cuff, a little bit of bicep, like other things that are like making me pull, hit me.
Okay, so Clickbait Motto said you might have to sit or kneel or cut your legs off with the calf muscles. Kyle said, I don't sit because with heavier loads, it pulls me off the ground.
Right, yeah. And that's why I suggest people to kneel and get in that position, lean a little bit right here. Now you're gonna get that pull right there. If you're that big of a guy, I highly doubt this machine has enough force to pull up your entire body weight in this position to actually pull you up. And the point isn't to do as heavy as you can possibly load up on this machine anyways. It's about how much can this force of this muscle take on. And so I like to just hold it right here and just slowly come right here. Really think of like pulling your elbow to the ground, not bicep curl right here. That's what drives the lat, is you pulling that elbow. Because your lat, again, is wrapped around your rib cage, it'll really lengthen out as you reach back right here. If you're taller and you're bigger than me, come back right here. There's plenty enough. And you come all the way down, all the way back. There's plenty enough on the cable.
Kyle said that movement he's showing right now is similar to what I get with my incline bench, but you can anchor your feet and legs from being pulled off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, there's strategies to anchor yourself or whatever, but the lat itself, if that's what you're trying to target, and you're just trying to get stronger at like pulling right there, there's plenty on this, especially in that one single arm right there. If you just need to change your rep scheme, you may need to just do more reps, or you need to put it on eccentric mode and really do slow negatives. It's about mechanical tension on a muscle. That's what grows it and gets it stronger, not about the number that you're at. Like if I was to ask you guys, if I only put 5 pounds on here, I can lift a lot more than 5 pounds when I'm doing like a row action right here. And I just did 5 pounds over and over again. If I did 100 reps of that, do you think that my lat would start to feel fatigued eventually? Heck yeah, it would, right? Do you think I could grow muscle like that? Science says yes. You actually can by increasing volume of reps. So even if this muscle is so strong that it can handle 110 pounds on one arm pulling in like a muscle like motion like this, I can still get plenty of hypertrophy and strength out of this, and those are just semantics at that point,
Jason said the way you showed down last time sitting down is good too.
Yeah.
Kyle also said there's a lot of ways you can hack movements with this machine.
So I would just sit down like this, and then you can row from like right here. This is a really great way, even if my arms were a little bit longer right here or whatever, lean a little bit more back right here and pull down. You might be thinking, well, my shoulder needs to go all the way overhead for it to be like a true pull down, like some of the cable machines at like gyms and stuff like that, or like a pull up itself. Not really. I mean, the lat right here eventually is going to reach about its end point here anyways. You can put this back, but it doesn't particularly bias the lat to get any longer right there. Sincerely, science.
Sincerely, science.
Mic drop. So, any other questions you see on that one right there?
Nope.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, those are some great variations for you guys to start using right there to do more pulls. Anybody who saw my live last time, I went over a lot of different exercises because there were a lot of questions, and I'm happy to answer those things as we go. I have a lot of different variations that I've created on this machine. I don't too often follow any of the workouts that are in there because I always have like somebody I'm rehabbing where it's like very specific athlete where I need specific things. So I use the free lift mode, and I already have that library of exercises in my head already, what I need to be doing with them. But yeah, ultimately, there's tons of uses of this, even if you're like a tall guy or something like that. As long as you just mess around with the mechanics a little bit, there's always a way.
Kyle said, another movement I use are barbell floor presses. I got my shoulder replaced a few years ago and replaced bench presses with floor presses to keep my shoulders happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because you're thinking like you don't want to like go past the floor and like get to that like internal like rotated spot. not to get too much into like the details of like why that's a good strategy right there is one, I don't have to really worry about like where my shoulder's at in terms of like me going to the floor and like running into the floor. The other thing is a lot of people don't know, like they try to like pin their scapulas like way back and they just limit their humerus to be able to do the motions it needs to do. We would have been better off as a society to just stop talking about where their scaps need to be pinned back or where they need to be forward or whatever, and just let them glide and do what they need to do. You'd be surprised how many people come into my physical therapy clinic and have issues because they don't allow that scapula to glide around the ribcage and do what it needs to do. They try to pin it and try to keep it still all the time because the strength community or the bodybuilding community or whatever told them to pin their shoulder blades back on everything they do. It limits arm function.
Jason asked, do you offer any online coaching?
Yeah, I definitely do. You know, it depends on where somebody's at with like what they need, but I have an app too that like has all the exercises that you need to do. I have a ton of exercises on the Speediance that I've filmed, and that's what I use is my app to like give online coaching. But I definitely don't want to get too much into that on here because this is definitely about the Speediance Gym Monster and about this code down here that you're going to see at the bottom of the screen, getting that extra $100 off the sale they're already having right now. And the ski handles and the hooks that you can get.
Kyle asks, is the promotion only available in the US?
Good question. I actually don't know that. I would imagine that if you go to Speediance's website, it's going to be worldwide, not just the United States.
It's
That's
just
just
US.
my guess. But only because I don't think they have like a different site for every country where they're not doing the same sale or something. But either way, use my code. You're going to get a discount one way or another on that. So.
Speediance replied and said, yes, only available in the US.
There you go. Expedience on top of it right there. I like it. By the way, everything I've ever had with this machine, Speediance has been on top of it. When it was like a warranty issue, I'm an idiot, and I was moving the machine, I broke the antenna on the back of here. Within the next day, I had a new antenna already in the mail on my doorstep. So they were pretty fast about getting that fixed up for me right there. Shout out to Speediance for being on top of their customer service right there. I was impressed. I wasn't expecting it the next day. So that was pretty cool. But I figured out how to use this even without internet connection right here. And that's a cool feature. I wasn't aware of that. So if you're wondering, well, do I need Wi-Fi to be able to do this? Not necessarily. There's a way to get around it.
Kyle is crying in Canadian.
Kyle, I love it. Love it. I'm Canadian myself. I'm from Calgary, so I'm with you.
But now you're in the US.
I cry in both Canadian and American.
Cries in by country.
I cry in bald eagle. And hockey.
Maple syrup.
Maple syrup. Any other questions right there?
None yet.
Okay, great. So I want to get a little bit more into like other uses that I've used for the machine right there. When it comes to like when I'm using this machine for whether it's upper body or lower body right here, I tend to prefer things that are a little bit more in alignment with the muscle fibers. So one of the things that I usually use when I'm talking about like how do I get in alignment, how do I know I'm in alignment with my muscle fibers is a visual like this. I'm going to show you in just a second. So I'm not sure if this cable angle will be able to see it all the way right here, but can you see the cable right here?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So you can see where the cable is at. The cable is a indicator of where the force is coming from. When it comes to cable machines, not free weights, cable machines, the force is always coming from the cable itself. So the Speediance, it's always from this cable. So it's pulling wherever the cable is going to, right? That's where the force is coming from. Well, my muscle fiber that I'm targeting needs to be in alignment with whatever that force is coming from. So for instance, if I'm doing a tricep pull down right here, right? I'm just sitting here cranking away on tricep, right? Or maybe I have the rope attachment and I'm going out like this or whatever, right? Well, the force is coming up and down right here from the cable, as you can see, but my muscle fiber is angled out this way, right? So the force of my muscle when it turns on is pulling it this way, but the cable is going this way. Oh, got a question.
Not a question, but
Oh.
Kyle did say the free lift mode is a good comment. I
Yep.
find most people use this mode. The stock workouts are limited or inflexible. So free lift allows you to do your own programs.
Different strokes for different folks, you know. I mean, some people like the workouts that are inside of the Speediance, app that's in here and stuff. Other people like the free lift mode. I particularly like the free lift mode because I like specific workouts for me or my goals or my clients or anything. But sometimes people are like, I have no idea what to do, and Speediance has some great workouts inside of there that even I would coin as being pretty good. So generally, But back to this force application thing, right? If I'm doing a tricep pull down, but the force is coming right here, but my muscle's over here and is trying to produce force out this way, it's not really in alignment with the muscle fiber right here. So if I actually turn my tricep to now, you can see the tricep is right here and the cable is right here. Now they're in alignment. As I go and do a tricep extension, the force that is being used by my tricep to actually straighten the muscle is in alignment with the actual force from the cable right here. And you're gonna get a lot more mechanical advantageous pulling from this on the actual muscle fibers you're targeting. Think of it like this. If I'm trying to get my tricep to be as strong as possible, I'm really trying to target that, but I'm busy using my rotator cuff and I'm using my rear delt, and I'm busy using my forearm muscles and stuff as I'm doing like a tricep extension right here, I'm not really getting the full function of my tricep. I'm not really challenging it at everything I can. And so if by changing this mechanics right here, now I'm gonna get all tricep and none of those other muscles are getting used anymore. None of those accessory muscles are kicking on and I can just focus on tricep. That's why mechanics matter. And that Speediance makes it really simple to do that. With weights, it's really a lot more thinking you have to do to target a muscle. It's way easier on a Speediance gym monster, a million times easier. Hit me.
Clickbait said, when adding a movement to a custom workout, there are some movements where you use both cables, hands,
Right.
but where you add the weight, it shows up as single hand weight. Any idea why? Other two cable movements show as two hand weight or something like that.
I just think there's variations. I'm not sure if you're talking about like in the workouts.
Or on the Speediance
Yeah,
program.
like on the Speediance program or in like free lift. I'm not really sure exactly like what you're going at right there, but when it comes to some of them, they might have you like hook them together and then like pull both right there, and I can understand that. The force would probably still change to some degree right there, but generally speaking, just to like make things easier for me to like explain, I'm just using one cable right here and using one muscle that we all kind of know where it's at in that tricep, right? In that tricep, we want to straighten the tricep muscle out. The force right here we know is coming from the cable. Now we know for sure we're targeting that tricep. If I'm out here and I'm going out like this, you can see the cables moving around as I do this, and I'm just not going to get as much force. It's not that I won't get any tricep, it's just not going to be all tricep.
And then there's also the barbell mode, right?
Yeah, there's the barbell mode. The barbell mode, though, you're now fixed to the barbell only. That's another reason why the title of this is why cables can be superior to dumbbells, because cables, they move around and you can change the force application. The barbell, you're stuck and fixed to the position of the barbell. Your mechanics of your body are stuck to the position your hands and body are in because of that barbell. And that's another reason why I think that I tend to use cables a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I like throwing around weight like anybody else and stuff, but if I'm just talking mechanics and like if I'm talking about like science-based kind of approaches, I'm probably going to pick cables a lot of times, and that's part of the reason why I bought the Gym Monster.
Clickbait said, in a custom workout where you add movements, in the situations I mean, each cable is in a separate hand, so I'm not sure why they have the weight for single hand. It's inconsistent.
I'm just not sure exactly what you're
Trying to
I would have to like see the exercise or something. I don't want to like
give an
kind of
example.
go down the wrong example or something. So I'm not sure if I'd be much help to you on that particular question right there, but I'm sure that there's a reason for it. I've downloaded like a bunch of the exercises on here. And most of them are pretty dang good. I gotta be honest, like they're not like super advanced like rehab exercises or something like that. They're just generally good exercises that have pretty good instruction. I think it's pretty clear cut on these. Maybe there's some kind of miscommunication, or maybe there's some kind of visual that's a little bit weird for you or something. I'm not sure if I'm your guy for that.
He's gonna
Yeah.
find an example.
All right, hit me, I guess. Yeah. So clickbait, I like that. Okay.
He's the one that suggests cutting off your calves.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean that's one strategy. I mean that's pretty extreme, but I've seen some pretty crazy stuff.
He said when looking at a dual hand bent over row.
Okay, so like dual hand bent over row, are you talking about the cables being together and you're like this kind of thing? Is that what you mean? Like the cables are together? Or do you mean like out here and here, or the barbell, or what do you mean?
Give it a second.
Clickbait's thinking.
He's thinking. And then Ryan had also asked.
All right, hit me right.
He said, clickbait said one hand on each side.
Oh yeah. No, I mean I'd say that's mechanically the best way to do it. That's how I would set somebody up. Is I would have, I mean, imagine the cables down here. I don't want to move it right now, but imagine cables right here, and I'm rowing through. I like this position, like neutral handle position right here, more than I like over top for a lot of people, and being like in a barbell position where they're going like that. I just tend to like it more, and I think it's more mechanically friendly.
I think he's just trying to understand the movements sets the weight as single-handed, and he's trying to understand why.
So like one is right here. Well, sometimes this is another cool thing. Imagine if I'm
why the machine would do that.
Yeah. So imagine I'm right here, but I'm going to face towards you for the reason of you being able to see this. I've seen these called gorilla rows before. I'm not sure what Speediance calls them or anything in their workouts on their thing. But when you row on one side, you get like a rotation right here, and you can row back and forth like this. You can get some cool stuff like the pelvis moving. You can get some rotation at the rib right here. You can get a lot of cool things from that right there. So that might be one reason why they're doing that, is they're just adding a little bit of rotation in right there, which I'm a big fan of.
Right. And Clickbait agrees. He says that's a two-handed movement done at the same time, but just doesn't understand. Expedience says it's a single-handed movement.
It could be one like this, but still, even when I'm pulling on one and the other hand is like sitting still right here, I'm still getting some rotation at the rib right here. Like think of my rib being like me right here. I'm still getting that like rotation right there and back and forth. And I think that can be really useful in a lot of ways. I get people's ribs moving all the time. I think it's a great way to get some mobility.
Ryan asked, I noticed when I take off the cables and put it to the floor, part, the adjusters seem a bit wobbly, sliding them up and down. Is it just mine, or is that how they are?
Are you on barbell mode or are you on dumbbell mode? That would be important to know. Is the weight off or on? That would be important. Sometimes I accidentally am like stupid and don't turn the weight off, and that makes it like seem weird or something like that. But overall, it should feel pretty smooth once the weight's off and you're on dumbbell mode. If you're on barbell mode, the machine is trying to balance it out because it thinks it's on the barbell right there. And so that's when I've seen it be wobbly, but I've never seen it wobbly in the dumbbell mode.
The sliders itself meaning?
Oh, like these feel, like when you slide it up and down, they feel wobbly? Okay.
Oh, he said correct.
Yeah. If you mean like the component here, not this part, do you mean this thing right here?
As he wobbled it.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's some movement to it, but it's locked in. There's a mechanism in the machine that's got it locked in. This is made of metal. That's not plastic, right? That's metal.
He said yes.
Yeah, you maybe it came loose or something like that. There is a plastic component that is inside of here, and I'm sure that can. But the actual thing that you're seeing from the outside here, that's metal, and it's very rare to find a machine out there on the market that is using like strong metal components right there, like that about Speediance. And maybe something's wrong with that plastic piece inside of there. That could possibly be, but unlikely. I would probably say that there's something with that mechanism inside of there that maybe just isn't driving it. Mine's super smooth. Like if I move it right now, it is smooth as butter. And I've taken this all over the city. I've in and out of my car, and it still works like a charm. The only thing that I did break, like an idiot, it was my fault. I messed up that wireless cord on the back, and in 24 hours, Speediance had one at my doorstep.
Jason said, I can't lift as much using the handles. Bench press with the handles is a lot harder.
Yeah.
Kyle asked, what are your recommended movements for the posterior chain, specifically glutes, hams, and even calves?
Okay, let me answer. Was it Jason who was the first one to ask?
Jason said, I can't lift as much using handles.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the reason for that is because it lets your scapulas like come back, and then it lets your scapulas come forward. It leverages the pec more. So what happens is that a lot of people end up just like tricepping their way out of it and like using like the shoulder like kind of push right there. The reason why cables feel harder than like using like the barbell right there is because in the barbell you're in like a fixed position. You can kind of like position yourself to like kind of push your way out of it. Cables, you have to actually like use your pec. It'll go and wrap around your actual, like your pec will wrap around your rib cage and go on a big stretch. And if you don't have a super strong positioning right there, it might challenge you. You might need to bring that weight down a little bit and get stronger in that position. I don't tend to flare my elbows out when I do them. I bring my elbows in right here and allow my pec to get that big stretch around my rib cage right here. That's how you get the most strength and hypertrophy. I see that in clients all the time. I see it in professional athletes where they've been pressing like this, like call it collegiate athletes, like pushing like a barbell. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of cool things that can happen with a barbell press. But if I want to get full mechanics, using a cable and actually getting that pec to wrap around your rib cage like that and push forward right there is superior for just targeting the pec and getting that thing stronger all day long. And you can change the angle and go after the lower fiber of the pec, the upper fiber of the pec that attaches around the collarbone and like up in the sternum and everything up here. So pretty cool if you ask me. But the other question was about things to strengthen the posterior chain. Was that the question right there?
So yes, what are your recommended movements for the posterior chain, specifically glutes, hams, and even calves?
Glutes, hams, calves, love it. So if I'm gonna go after the posterior chain, what he means by posterior chain is the backside of my body. So things like glutes, hamstrings, quads, things that are just backside right here, right? So one of my favorite movements for doing anything for knocking out the whole posterior chain is going to be squats. There's nothing that beats king squats. It hits everything we just mentioned right there, but also RDLs, and I can show you some cool calf raises. I'm going to show you guys a few exercises that I use to hit all of the above right there. Maybe some you maybe haven't seen. I'm a big fan of putting muscles through their full range and really doing like a slow, long eccentric on something. So I'm going to show you guys how I use the cable to do some. Oh, turn it off, sorry. I don't want to go too heavy here, so I look cool still, but it gets hard fast. I don't want to do too much because it's not gonna work
Get your
as good
second
right here.
workout
Yeah.
for the day.
So I would use something, what angle should I do right here from camera to kind of see? Maybe I'll do it on the other side right here. So if I wanted to do like something like an RDL, I would do a kickstand RDL. What an RDL is a Romanian deadlift. It's not where you're getting like all the way down the ground like a deadlift and coming all the way up. But what I like to do for the glutes, my favorite glute exercise that I personally do to grow glutes, get them stronger, and to increase internal rotation at the hip is I get into a split stance right here. And then if you look at my shin, I actually, like my knees, I bring them a little bit forward. I don't want them straight right here, like up and down. I want them a little bit straight right here. My weight is on this foot right here that I'm over top of right here. You can see all my mass right here is over top this foot. I can just bring my foot off the ground right here and I'm not going to fall over because I'm just using it to balance. I'm not putting my weight back into my foot right here. So my weight's over top of this foot. I'm putting my weight more towards the inside of my foot. Then from here, the weight's already on right here. I want to keep my shin in that position right there where it's a little bit positive, meaning forward a little bit right here. And then all I'm doing is I'm shifting my hip backwards and then shifting my hip forward, and I'm never letting my knee go backwards right here. You can see I'm never leaving that position. The only thing that's happening is my glute is going on a big stretch right here, and then I'm gonna drive up and I'm gonna use it to come up right here. So this is my favorite way to strengthen like a glute and the hamstring is probably like single leg or like what we call split stance RDLs. I've also heard them called B stance RDLs. The reason I like this is because you still are pretty balanced right here. The cables will help you balance and your other leg back here will help you balance. But the other thing is that I can get a big stretch on my glute and really get it stretched out under load right here. Kind of like if I was doing a bicep curl. If I only do bicep curls like this and I'm short and I'm only just doing like a pump, yeah, I'll feel like a lot of like contraction. But the real juice is on the way down, a slow, long contraction. That's where you get the muscle fibers to really get a lot of mechanical tension and get a lot of hypertrophy and growth. Same with the glutes. Turning my glutes on and squeezing them right here doesn't really elicit a lot of growth. What does is me getting it under load and then doing a long stretched glute motion and then driving up. I don't want my knee to go backwards because then that means I'm just like de-leveraging my glutes and my hamstrings. So that's how I use like a single leg RDL. Don't go super heavy on these until you learn good form right here. This will smoke you though if you do it correctly.
How would you do calves?
Calves is like is really cool on this machine because it's really easy to load it up. So I don't want to go grab it right now, but sometimes I'll grab like a yoga block. I'll grab like a box, like a small box. Other times I'll just use the edge of the machine right here, but would be the best way to show you guys angles. So I don't know how well you guys can see me right here where I'm at, but I would actually have like the cable right here, and I would kind of like, I don't know if this is the best thing.
You want me to grab you a box?
I just want to make sure that they're able to see it from the position that they're in. So I've used it to where I have it right here, and then I step up like this and back down. That's one way. I've had it to where I'm holding onto the machine, and then I'm up and I'm down. Now I'm loaded to whatever range that you put the machine right here, and my calf is getting a little bit of that stretch right there. I've also been right here and then pushed up and then back down and pushed up and then back down. I have so many variations. I've used this machine for calves. I've had where I actually have the machine loaded me up right here, and then I'm at the edge right here and then up like this. There's a lot of variations I can do for this.
Earl asks, what movements/workouts should I avoid if I had an LCA surgery? Are squats safe?
I don't want to give any real medical advice too much over this live in terms of like which one, because I don't know you. I've never done an assessment on you. I don't even know if I'm the licensed practitioner that you would need to see for something like that. But generally speaking, my general advice on something like this is that if you're having question.
Oh, J Lady Drums asks, can that be done with the belt?
The calves or the RDL or?
Yes, calves.
Calves? Yeah, yeah, 100% you could. There's a lot of different ways that you could do that right there. And then I've used the barbell and had like a box where I'm sitting down, had the barbell across my knees, something under my feet, and then I'm doing a seated calf raise like that too. This thing is like a whole gym right here. Like everything I have inside of my clinic is essentially right here in this machine right here. And that's pretty cool if you ask me. As long as you're creative enough, I'll know the mechanics you need to do or whatever. But as for any kind of like surgery like that, again, it's super individualistic. I don't want to give too much medical advice on that. But generally, I would say find a healthcare practitioner like a physical therapist or maybe some kind of educated trainer that has an actual degree, like a kinesiology degree or something that knows how to work with that type of population. And you want to load it safely and progressively. This machine, you can totally progress it and get it to where whatever load you need and whatever mechanics you need right there. I don't want to give too much hyper individual stuff because I could totally give you the wrong advice without knowing your case or anything. And I just don't think that that's appropriate in this channel right here.
Other questions?
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't help you more, but generally speaking, you want to load yourself slowly and progress from there and learn how to increase that range of motion, decrease sensitivity, start to get the muscle strong that you need to get strong, especially if you've had any kind of atrophy, meaning your muscles got smaller from like surgery and stuff like that. You need bracing strategies, all sorts of stuff. So get with somebody who's legit on that. If you want any online like coaching or online physical therapy, I'd be happy to help you there too. If you don't know anybody in your area or anything that you trust or know, to do that right there. Any other
Las Vegas.
questions right there? Las Vegas.
Nope, no other
I
questions.
see.
Earl
I
said.
see a Facebook one. Can you set the speed of the cadence in the fixed speed?
Yeah,
Yes,
that was
yes,
earlier
yeah.
on. Yeah.
Okay.
Earl asked, "Thank you so much. This has been the best Speediance live. The
Oh,
most
yeah, no
informative.
worries.
I hope this is not the only one from you."
No, I want to continue to do this more regularly, but I need help from you guys to let Speediance know that, this is the type of stuff that you guys, want, is to ask questions from a provider like me about this type of stuff. And I do want to remind you guys of that sale and that code. You can see the banner going across the bottom of the screen right here. You can get an extra $100 off of the sale that they're already having. So it's $400 off that they have on the sale right now. You get an extra $100 off by using my code. And you get the ski handles and the hooks on top of it. Pretty cool deal, if you ask me.
Jason said, "Thanks for all the info. Best host for the lives."
Let's go, Jason. I appreciate that. I think he was on my last one too.
I think
He asked a
so
lot of
too. He
questions.
did mention last live.
Yeah, so I appreciate the support, Jason. And
Let's go.
any of you guys, feel free to message me, DM me about any questions that you have. Separately as well. I'd like you to ask right now on the live, but you're always welcome to DM me as well if you have any questions. I'll get around to it.
Robert Jr. said, "Beware of Speediance. They are paying people like this to just false advertise."
That's nonsense. Don't get me wrong. The world works as a business. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a legit medical provider who works in a legit physical therapy clinic. I know how to make money, man. I'm not in this for the money. I really like this machine, and we legitimately use it in our physical therapy practice. Saying beware of like scammers. I'm not an influencer. You guys can go to my Instagram, my Facebook. I don't have any followers. I'm not an influencer who gets paid a bunch of money or anything. I'm just a guy who likes to help people in the world get good information, keep healthy, make sure that they're not injured. I don't think that I'm a scammer for that or anything. I think that you maybe have seen some other lives and other companies that maybe gave you that impression, but how many times have I tried to sell you every 30 seconds, or have I just been trying to give you good information? I'll leave that up to you to decide, but I don't think that I'm going to go any farther on that.
Kyle said, "Speediance needs to do more informative events like this instead of sales pitches from people who don't know about the machine." And Jason agrees. He said, "Or just bro science."
Yeah, I can't really speak on those other lives or anything, or those individuals or anything, but I can definitely tell you that I'm not in it to just sell it the 24/7 as I'm on the live or anything. I want you guys to understand that there is a code and there is a way to get a discount, and I think that that's awesome. You guys should utilize that. But Speediance asked me to help you guys out in the community with questions that you have, and a legitimate medical provider and somebody who's a trainer who's in performance, who's worked in professional sports. I used to work for the Raiders. I'm telling you that this is a great machine to use, and I've gotten nothing but great results with this machine. I use it personally. I use it with clients. I think it's a good machine. I think that the mechanics of it are great. I think that the way that it's built is strong. It's all like metal components on it. I don't see like cheap plastic crap on it or anything. I've had no problems with this thing at all. So don't get me wrong. Every company out there has some issues when they're making machines where a part will break or something like that. There's no machine out there that exists that you're not going to run into that sometimes, right? But overall, this is a great quality machine, and the price point is, do I even need to explain it? They're the best priced one on the market for the value that you get right here, hands down. Come.
J Lady says, "I appreciate the information from this live, and you are awesome."
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And I am going to butcher this guy's name, and I'm so sorry. It's like Quoc. Quack.
Okay.
Said, "Thanks, George."
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Name I can't pronounce.
Thank you, random
Yeah,
citizen.
Thank you, citizen of the world. Yeah, I mean, again, guys, if you have any questions or anything, I'm open. We can definitely talk about it, whether it's DM or it's right here, right on this live right now.
Kyle said, "At Speediance, you need to be doing more community-based events like this with real customers and honest feedback."
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't mind even doing a live where I actually have like a live client based. It would have to be okay with my client or something like that, where I'm actually like working on maybe an issue that they're having, like, you know, I could show you like where their shoulder isn't moving very well. And then the next time that, you know, we go through some workouts and next thing you know, their mobility increased and some cool ways that I use the machine to get that thing going. I would be open to doing that, but I don't really know if that's something that we could really do on a channel like this or anything. We'd have to talk about it. If you guys want it, I'm sure that whatever the community wants, I'm sure that Speediance would be game.
No further
Okay.
comments.
Well, we're going a little bit over on this hour for Speediance right here, but I appreciate all of you who came onto this live and asked questions. And again, I want to tell you guys that Speediance is a great machine, that you have that sale and that code George right here that you can use at the checkout. You'll get an additional $100 off from the sale that they're already having. So you'll get all together $500 off, and you'll get that ski handle and that hook all at the same time right there. So use my code George, and of course, I'll catch you guys on the next live, okay?